Case is suspended tonight, and we'll move on to public comment, union comments. Do we have any? We'll move on to approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 19th, Board of Trustees. Are there any comments? Motion by Pat Beck, second. By Jeff Wilson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. We'll move on to reports. Chair report. So the governor stated the state. She's talking about providing free education to community colleges from anyone 25 to 55 who are going to specific fields such as healthcare. So it may affect us. I'm not sure if Dr. Treckenmiller will have more about that or not.
We did put it at your place, a two-page handout that the State University put together. It gave a little bit more detail than that they're aware of. And again, this is, as the chair indicated, this is a program targeting 25 to 55-year-olds. It's for associate degree students only, so it's not somebody who wants to just casually come and take a class. And it is for specific fields of study. So the way that the governor described it is the Department of Labor will essentially identify high demand fields. And the handout talks about some of those fields that they heard from the governor's office. And this is a last dollar in program. So once federal financial aid is applied, any other types of state financial aid applies, this funding would cover the rest of the cost. The one thing that's somewhat unique about this is it does consider other educational expenses such as books and supplies, not just tuition. So that's interesting. And this is her proposal, so it hasn't been approved by anybody yet, but it will be interesting to see how this plays out, and what potential impact it can have on us. So we will be watching this carefully.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Treckenmiller. We'll move on. Nothing further to report, the chair's report. We'll move on to the president's report. Dr. Treckenmiller.
And I'll just mention a few, since the governor gave her address. She mentioned several things that impact higher education. One is making more adjustments to the TAP program, trying to streamline and combine the various programs that are out there to make it easier, trying to address some of the TAP income gap. Also looking at providing a fund for college and high school, expanding college and high school opportunities, and specifically what I heard in the address was targeting low-income school districts and providing funding for those students that pays for those students to take college and high school opportunities. Also expanding P-TECH and early college programs. We have a number of those here. So she's looking to put more funding for that. And certainly there's some additional opportunities that they're looking at for SUNY as well, but those that probably have the most impact for us. And then of course the big news. And I have to say, this was a well-kept secret. And I'm sure that the system administration and the chancellor's office knew about it. They did not roll this out to us at all. This was a big surprise when she gave her address. And a nice surprise, especially if you remember a few years ago when then Governor Cuomo was talking about the need to essentially eliminate community colleges now to get some recognition that we do provide an important and valuable service and looking for ways to support us. The downside of this is that this likely takes away any opportunity that we're going to have additional operating. So as we've talked about in past meetings, we're advocating for an additional $100 million to go to community colleges across the state to supplement that base aid. This probably just signaled where they're willing to spend their money. That said, there is, and this is also at your place, and I said this to you earlier, this is the SUNY advocacy piece. This is, the chancellor is, in addition to these initiatives, the chancellor and his staff are asking for an additional $30 million to support community colleges. Again, this is targeted aid. So, and those of you who majored in math, Pat Randy, you'll notice that it adds up to 28 million, but I guess we're rounding up to 30. Or maybe systems taking 2 million off the top for administrative purposes. But they're looking to have $7 million infused in each of these buckets. Specifically, as they've done in some of these tasks. We've got a current one going on for healthcare right now. This $8 million bucket where they gave us $100,000 to $200,000 to expand our healthcare fields. There's, you can read that. As you look through there, one nice thing, and I guess it's when they send these surveys out, we complete them and we wonder what happens. You'll notice that our name is actually sprinkled throughout this document, highlighting some of the ways that we've used patent funding to expand programs. And, it's not just about us, they've got other examples in there too, but it's nice that we were included in at least a couple of buckets. The healthcare bucket and the IT and the cybersecurity bucket. They listed us out. So I wanted you to have these for your own use as you're advocating for us, and this is what they're seeing. So you definitely need to see it. And NYCCT is still asking for, and the community college presidents are in our lobbying efforts are asking for $100 million in base aid. We're not asking it to be specifically tied to certain buckets. We are making playing off of the governor's economic development agenda and talking about how we'll prepare workforce to meet those goals that she set. But just so you have an awareness of, this is what the governor's saying, this is what SUNY's saying, and I know you've seen some of the materials from NYCCT as well. So that's been the big focus over the last couple of weeks. So happy to answer any questions or about this or anything else that you may have in your mind.
I did have a conversation with the chancellor. He did call me, and he was commending Fulton-Montgomery Community College for their thoughtfulness and intuition in getting involved in the cybersecurity and healthcare and the clean room and whatnot. So I was surprised that he would call us a small little college like us, but he did say, we're doing a good job. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the student trustee report. I believe he had car trouble, so no report today. And we'll move on to the foundation report with Leslie Lansing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, actually, the report is included in your packets. I do want to add that we are having an AI series on Friday. The fifth Friday series is January 31st. We have, with the help of Jeff Smith, our sheriff, Chris Dancy, who is known as, if you just Google the most connected man in the world, and his name will come up. And he's very interesting. I think it'll be a good program. And he will be here, as I said, January 31st, 8 o'clock. So please call with reservations because we have about 60 if you need one to come, 60 already. And then just lastly, this is what's happening soon. Well, not soon. Our 36th Annual Golf Classic, which is May 22nd. And so mark your calendars. These will be going out in the next couple of weeks. Our first golf meeting is next week. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair, unless anyone has any questions.
If there are no questions, thank you, Ms. Lansing. We'll move on to finance with trustee Beck.
Going to ask Chesapeake to give any highlights. I didn't get a chance to really look at it. I do have one question, if you would like me to ask it now. I was just, looking at the fringe benefits of the actuals for 25 and
Yeah,
24,
there's.
and wondering why it was so much higher.
Last year, and that is largely due to a high dollar claim that we received in December.
Okay.
For our self-funded health insurance plan. So basically, the way that this works is that once it hits the deductible, it goes through stop loss, and then we will eventually get reimbursement for that. So what we had to outlay over $1 million for that claim. So we've been in close contact with our insurance broker, and they are aggressively pushing that through stop loss with the hope that we will be able to recoup that money in January.
Thank you.
Okay, so just a few highlights. We're at 33% of our fiscal year. As far as budget, actual expenses and encumbrances are at 45% of budget. We're very busy these days in the billing department with the spring semester right now. So as of the end of December, we awarded about $7.1 million in federal, state, and institutional financial aid awards. And basically is the report for this month.
Thank you, Trustee Beck. Thank you, Chastity. And we'll move on to buildings and ground with Trustee Landria.
We'd just like to make one comment. We did have a heat exchanger in the PA building that had failed, and we required a replacement. That work is now been completed. It's in the public report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Landria. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to academic affair with Trustee Preston.
Sure. So the Social Science Division, their FM Early Childhood Education Program is providing learning opportunities for students. And some of the highlights in that program are the safari themed interactive learning, where students created a safari themed learning experience for pre-K children. They had an art fair that was student organized, showcasing creativity and collaboration. And then some guest speakers that presented on various topics, including special education strategies and inclusion, the role of dramatic play in child development, integrating math into everyday activities, and the Waldorf approach to education. In the business and community partnerships area, Chrissy Davis, the students and instructors there in the FM hydroponics class have finished building the new lab. There's an open house, and that flyer's in the packet. That open house is going to be January 7th at 4 p.m. SUNY C4 Canna Business grant paid for that equipment and supplies necessary to fill that lab. So look for good things there. And on December 6th, that team met with the Mental Health Association representatives to discuss micro-credential and apprenticeship options. And brief, so that.
Thank you, Trustee Preston. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to Trustee Perry. Student affairs.
The full report is in our packet. I'm going to give you some of the highlights. The TRIO program has successfully submitted their annual progress reports and had 10 students who successfully graduated in December. On the 10th of December, the College Disability Awareness Recruitment and Transition Conference was held on campus with Mohannes High School District. There were 15 students with 4 counselors in attendance. The students received a campus tour with our SUNY Accessibility Services Ambassador, Michael D'Angelo. They met with admissions, members of our campus opportunity programs, TRIO, EOP, and before they left, they had lunch. This program was funded through the SUNY Enhancement Funds. And then there were many holiday events and activities that were held before break. The LPP students creating care packages for the residents of Maitland Nursing Home. International students accompanying academic success coach and students of the World Club Advisor, Joanne. And that's what I did one of us. To Christmas at Animal Land and planning a traditional U.S. Christmas dinner. C-STEP specialist Andrea Hernigal hosted a Science of Evergreens and Wreath Making activity after school workshop for CSEP students, as well as a few other students on campus. EOP and Empire City Service Corps students sponsored 3 children through the Gloversville Sponsor Children Holiday Drive. That's all great stuff that happened before Christmas, and it's my report.
Thank you, trustee Perry. Are there any questions? If not, we'll move on to diversity, equity, and inclusion. John?
Good evening, everybody. The report should be in your packet. Is number of noteworthy things occurring. We have a Black History Month coming up. Very soon, it's 20th. We have Martin Luther King Junior Day. I mentioned last time, I've not been having these classes set up the next diversity class. That's closed at this point because it's full, which is interesting. Let's see. For me, unless you have any questions, I'll bunch more stuff next time as we roll out 2025 with some of the changes that's occurring in our government.
Any questions? No? Thank you, John. We'll move on to accreditation with Dan.
I will also attempt to keep my report brief, mainly because we are laser focused on completing our self-study report. We're getting to the point where we're beginning to measure that due date in weeks, not months anymore. Just a reminder that that report is due to the Middle States Commission the week of February 23rd. So we're getting close to about 5 weeks out, I guess. All the chapters have been reviewed and begin turning our focus to other parts of the study that are necessary. Compliance verification, the executive summary, conclusion, and recommendations. But like I said, the major pieces of that report have been written and reviewed. So like I said, we're focused on getting to the finish line here as it comes to the completion of the report. There are a couple other things going on in the accreditation slash assessment world. We are in the process of our first assessment of the current ILOs. This year, we are assessing the institutional learning outcome, analyze qualitative and quantitative information before making decisions, reaching conclusions, or implementing strategies and solutions. Subcommittee has been formed and has met, and data is being gathered, and the assessment of that data and the report or the assessment of that ILO should be finished during the spring semester, by the end of this spring semester. And then just finally, a little bit, a smaller note is that with the transition of the web page, the website, I should say, we have created a new institutional assessment page. There was one on the previous website that kind of got left off, not for any, nefarious reason. But that page has been recreated, and I'm in the process of collecting the information and data that we will ultimately put on that page, so we can continue to just demonstrate that FMCC embraces a culture of transparency and invites our stakeholders to view our assessment results. There's just a couple things from Middle States Communications that I've received from Middle States that I'm keeping an eye on. The FAFSA Deadline Act, which basically is requiring the FAFSA to be available to students or to be available period by October 1st of the preceding year for students that want to enroll. Some information about distant education courses and requirement that institutions will have to start reporting enrollment in distance education courses starting in July of 2027. So that's a bit down the road. And then a little bit of information on Title IX and the rescinding or the striking down of the Bond Administration's Title IX rule regarding protection of students that were victims of sexual harassment, sexual assault, sex-based crimes. So basically, that rule got struck down. And with that struck down, it is no longer in effect for any institute.
So do we have to change our policy then in Title IX?
We have a returns.
If our attorneys are with other revisions, let's see. Probably next month.
Okay, is that it, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll move on to personnel. Trustee, Stephanie Schumer McKee.
We've got some vacancies and searches in progress. Big news is that both CSEA and ESP have indicated that they will be entering into collective bargaining with us in March because their contracts expire at the end of August. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee McKee. Any questions?
Who makes up that team?
Pardon?
Who makes up the bargaining team?
Did you just volunteer?
Bargaining team? Tuesday. Well, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the way that we've approached our negotiations here is that we have a large negotiating team that has representatives from the two counties, from the trustees and the administration. But the actual bargaining is a small team of typically two administrators and two members of the unit that meet more frequently and then report back to the bigger groups so that we don't have to sit in stare sessions where you've got, this many people in a room staring at each other, not saying anything, and caucusing every, 10 minutes. So that's the way that we've approached it over the last decade or so, probably longer than that. But our intention is to continue that process. So as you know, Pat, I've sent letters to the two counties asking who they would like to be represented on that committee. Certainly, Bethany is indicating you'd be interested in serving as. I'll leave that to our esteemed chair to appoint a couple of trustees to serve on that.
And I didn't mean, but I was just curious, for the past, prior to my current position, I spent 8 years on leading the negotiations for the city of Amsterdam and for the county. So I've been dealing with at least 6 to 7 unions.
So, Mr. Chair, I would appreciate having appointed a couple of people, and that doesn't have to happen.
But I'd like to have one from Fulton County, one from Montgomery County. So Bethany and Pat, you have to fight it out.
I think it's more qualified than lots.
We're gonna have a gladiator ring,
The cage match.
That's great. It's just a point of information, that's all, and I didn't know how it was conducted, so thank you.
We'll talk about it. Okay, that's it. We'll move on to policy with the finish up. Man.
I have no report.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson.
So I think it is important for the trustees to take a vote on whether or not they wish to file a notice of claim, or whether or not they, whether they want to address the resolution in total, which it seemed like there was some discussion about waiting on that, or because NYCCT is moving ahead. If you want to participate, you should take some preliminary action, whatever that you decide that should be.
Well,
Again,
we filed a notice of claim. We're more like committing to the fact that we're going to pursue this. I did offer the two county attorneys and our college attorney the opportunity to do some more research before we do anything. As far as filing it tonight, if we can get back, maybe have a special meeting in a couple of weeks. And do it then, like before time limits up. I think it behooves us to allow them the opportunity to do their research, due diligence, before we make
just my sense is that the research is, if any research that gets done is going to be done by the college attorney, because what I heard from the two counties is, what do you want us to do?
So, and just to make sure everyone understands, a notice of claim is a prerequisite to litigation against a municipality, and there's a period of time in which you have to say, like, we're giving you a heads up that we intend, that we have a potential claim against you. It's a precursor to the actual filing of litigation, so I would be happy to support the signing on for the notice of claim tonight. I will say I would not vote for this resolution in its current form. And I can understand wanting to wait a little bit longer for that. I would, if we do end up voting on a resolution, and I would think that it would probably be helpful that we would want to point out, because we're going to make this public, that this isn't going to cost the taxpayers or the college any money. And I would like to see this resolution say, like, have another whereas that says NYCCT has agreed to retain counsel and handle all litigation costs against member counties to join on as you know, party plaintiffs. I would feel more comfortable just that if this were going to be read in the paper, the next question is, how much are they gonna spend on that? And I just think it would be great to point out in the recitations that, like, it will be revenue, you know, neutral or expense neutral to the college.
My thought on that would be, as far as the press release would go, is talk to NYCCT and have them speak for all the colleges. You know, because they're the ones who'd be the lead on it. And I would think they would have a better handle exactly what is being said, but I do agree with the add-on. So are you making that in the form of a motion that we sign on to the,
I would make a motion that we would sign a notice of claim tonight. And then if necessary, have a special meeting if there were a deadline before our next meeting for us to determine whether or not we wanted to be a party plaintiffs in the litigation. If there's a way to do it at the next meeting for the signing on, but I think we can do the notice again, so I would put that in the form.
Yeah, again, I think, you know, what I've heard was if you want to participate in the notice of claim, that's gonna be filed by the end of this month. And so if you wanted to defer action until next month, you would miss that opportunity. Their intention was to file the lawsuit by the end of February. And so obviously backing that up. So you either have to have a special meeting to take action, or you would.
So the notice of claim, that's not just us saying, hi, SUNY, we're gonna sue you. That's notice of claim, like we are joining this lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. I mean, again, and I'll defer to you, because what I heard was each one of the plaintiffs, they will file a notice of claim on behalf of each one of the plaintiffs. So it's not a one notice of claim that these 10 plaintiffs, what I heard them say is we would have our own individual notice of claim.
Okay.
And I heard Robert say that, I heard John say that. But
I assume that they got them on Subi at the same time. Again, I don't think it would be.
yeah, it doesn't, like,
Right.
One that
Yeah,
interrupt the-
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out is. how
right,
that works.
but it is, if I understood them correctly, and I may not have, it was that each plaintiff had their own notice of claim.
Yeah.
so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Good second. that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passed, so I will get a hold of NYCCT and I will,
And while you do that, could you ask them for the date that they expect to file?
yes,
That would be good to know.
Also, like, and I apologize, what are they, like, it's my understanding that the notice of claim is filed within 30 days of the alleged thing, not 30 days of the commencement of litigation. So what are they using as the date that SUNY violated our rights?
The NYCCT attorney had
Did he spell that?
discussed that.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it the November 12th?
yeah, it was November when
He's,
they changed.
So November 12th, within 4 months.
Yeah,
To commence the articles.
because they're really talking about Article 70. They're doing a hybrid, but it's 78.
okay. So I will get a hold of them and fill out the necessary paperwork. Any other business before the board? If not, they entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. Thank you all for coming tonight. Been a wonderful time. You know, that's fair.
Yes, yeah, same, I mean, it's everything's the same. Up to 35 people. Everyone's bringing up. So, it's not saying that.